No.
Okay, hearing none. So can I get an approval of the agenda, please?
Sure. Seconded.
Okay, moved and seconded. Thank you. Is there anybody opposing that? Okay, none. All right, adoption of the minutes for from the August 4th meeting.
I'll move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, is there anyone opposed?
Nope.
Okay, hearing none. So any business arising from the minutes?
Mr. Chair, can you hear me?
Yep.
Mr. Chair, as you know, under number 8, 12 Valley Street and 281 University Avenue,
Okay.
there appeared to be some confusion at the council meeting, the regular
Yes.
monthly council. Can you clarify what happened?
Well, from my understanding, one of the councillors had reached out to our CAO, asked the question with regards to conflict of one of our members. One of our members, being Shallon, of course, she had stated her position of conflict. We as a board were okay with it. I mean, I was okay with it at the time because she wasn't voting, and then she said that she would answer any questions that we had. Anyways, it was determined that A, she shouldn't have been in the room, and B, she shouldn't have been presenting, as she could have, influenced planning board because she was a member of planning board. So it was declared that she was in conflict. So we basically have to go back to the drawing board on a meeting to approve or reject to go to a public meeting.
So going forward, if there's a member of the board who can provide information, and because he or she could be in conflict, they have to that person would have to remove him or herself from the meeting, correct?
Well, that's my understanding. Now, like I said, I have to take some exception to it. And for instance, if one of our board members was not operating a business, and they were there on their own accord for a variance for their house, let's say, they would remove themselves from the vote, but there would be no one else that could be there to present on their behalf. So I don't know. I'll certainly look into it further.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. Is there any other business arising from the minutes? All right. Hearing none. So we'll move into the applications. So we have 3 today. We'll start off with Greg at 131 Bell Crescent. And while Greg's presenting, if everyone doesn't mind putting their video or whatever, not video, but audio on mute until it's done, that'd be great. Thank you.
All right. So this is a variance application that was submitted on July 24th in order to decrease the minimum flankage yard setback from 19.7 feet to approximately 12.5 feet in order to construct a single detached dwelling. So the property is located on the corner of 3 streets, so Bell Crescent, and Lower Malpeque Road. All properties in Bell Heights, the subdivision on Bell Crescent, is located in the single attached residential R1L zone. We sent letters to everyone within 100 meters of the subject property, and we received 7 letters in support of the proposed variance. So essentially, the applicant has purchased a prefabricated home, so it's under construction currently. The size of the building does not fit within the permitted setbacks. As laid out in the plan on the screen. So the applicants are requesting a variance, and just for more detail, the variance basically is the yellow section. So the yellow section is what does not meet the minimum setback. So the concern, I guess, from the applicant is that they could turn it to fit on the small side of Bell Crescent along the flankage yard, put the driveway along the flankage yard. The 50-foot minimum setback from the corners for the driveway could be maintained, But the mailbox, the community mailbox that you see here, would be in the way or close proximity to the driveway, which would cause some issues, not only for the applicant backing out with other cars potentially at the mailbox, but people going to the mailbox potentially stopping in their driveway. So the proposed driveway is on the other side of Bell Crescent, on their front yard, to the north. I guess this is almost as far as it can. It is a double car driveway. This is the plan of the prefab home. But essentially, the applicants, the letters that we received in support are from most of the nearby adjacent property owners. But the one letter that I did quote a couple times, they felt that the proposed building would fit in with the neighborhood. The driveway is better suited there where proposed, instead of near the mailbox or where the mailboxes are. And having a driveway on the smaller part, aside from mailbox, could cause issues with vehicles turning off of Lower Malpeck Road and cars backing out from the driveway. So to have that section completely clear of driveways is preferred by the city. So obviously,
Okay. So if whoever's online can mute, that would be great. Other than Greg.
there we go. All right. So
Perfect.
the applicant can fit the building on the property without applying for variances, but they are indicating that the unique factor, the peculiar condition that requires a variance, is the location of mailbox and the driveway, I guess, on a small street. So staff are recommending approval of the variance, but I can answer any questions, and I believe the applicant is also on this meeting as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Greg. So if anyone has any questions for Greg or for the applicants, just state your name. That way it's for the record, and then go ahead and ask your question. So open to the board now. Anybody have any questions?
You can hang this up to do exactly that.
So if anybody has any questions, just 1 second here. Can everyone go to mute again? There, perfect. Okay, so if anybody has a question, please state your name and then go ahead and ask the question. And if not, then we need someone to put a motion on the floor.
Okay, I want to have one. Can you hook them up on this?
I move to go with the recommendation.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion on the floor to accept staff's recommendation for the variance. Do we have anyone to second that?
I'll
I'll second it.
Or whoever.
Okay. Yeah, so moved and seconded. Thank you. Is there any further conversation, any comments? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none. So motion is carried. All right, moving into number 2. If everyone could mute again until Robert has done his presentation, that would be great. So on to number 2. Robert, when you're ready, 108 Spring Park Road.
Yes, thank you. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Perfect. All right, so the application before the board today is a lot flankage reduction. So the reduction from 6 meters, which is 19.7 feet, to 2.9 meters, which is 9.8 feet, at the closest portion of the building, which is the northeast corner of the building. The purpose of the variance is to construct a single detached dwelling. So moving forward. This is the site looking from east to west. Just note that there's community mailboxes there that would have to be relocated in consultation with Canada Post. This is the subject property here on the corner of Spring Park Road and McGill Avenue. This is the proposed site plan submitted by the applicant. So as you can see on the northeast corner, the reduction is, that's where the major reduction is to 9.8 feet at the closest point, since the lot does decrease in width as you go along to the east. So there's more flankage yard at the corner of McGill Avenue and Spring Park Road. We did receive some concerns regarding to sight lines and conducting a site inspection and looking at the site itself. Staff, we would have an alternative recommendation that I will get to at the end of the presentation, but it's essentially the applicant has the front yard set back at 14 feet. He's utilizing the established building lot line provisions of the zoning bylaw. So because if you look back at the street, there's quite a few structures or dwellings that are located closer to the street line than the required setback of the zoning bylaw. So he was leveraging that to bring the building closer up. But upon consultation with staff and looking at sight lines, addressing sight line issues on McGill Avenue and Spring Park Road, we are advocating that the front yard be maintained at 6 meters, which is 19.7 feet. That would then give sufficient visibility at the intersection here. It would also decrease the driveway length of the driveway with the access point located in the top north corner, which is in excess of 50 feet, which is another requirement when you're looking at access and approaches in relation to corners. The proposed elevations, what the applicant submitted, so this is what the proposed building would look like. It's a 2-story single detached dwelling with a walkout on Spring Park and McGill Ave. Here are some other elevations as well. I believe the applicant is moving to a slab on grade rather than constructing a foundation, but he is online to answer any questions too. So in regards to some of the public comments we received some letters of objection and concern. A lot of those concerns were relating to additional traffic on the narrow road, which is McGill Ave, as well as reduced sight lines. There's some concern about the relocation of the community mailboxes. And then there was a previous application that was before the previous planning board in 2018, where the applicant was looking for a variance to increase the unit count to 3 units. That was rejected by council. So the applicant is back now and looking at constructing a single detached dwelling. So as I stated, we're recommending that the flankage area variance would be approved, but it would be based on the following condition: that the front yard setback of the proposed single detached dwelling be maintained at 6 meters, which is 19.7 feet from the front property line, and that would be the Spring Park Road property line that we're advocating for that setback to be maintained. So that would be the only condition that we would have in our recommendation, and I can answer any questions. The applicant's also online to answer any questions as well.
Okay, thanks, Robert. So the applicant is online, and just curious if there's anything that the applicant would like to add to the board prior to me opening the floor up for questions.
How do I talk?
No, we can hear you.
You can do the chat, or you could take undo.
Oh, you can hear me? Yeah, you guys are live.
Yeah.
You're live.
Yeah. Do you have anything that you want to add to our planner Robert Zilk's comments or his presentation?
We're just going to adapt to whatever you want.
Okay. So Bradley, I'm just going to open it up to the board now, and then, like I said, if they have any questions for you, you can answer them, or for staff, for Robert. So, with that in mind, I'll open up the.
Get them out of here.
Boys?
Okay.
Keep it down. Brother's on the phone.
Why don't you guys go downstairs? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, folks. If the person's not talking, then I'm going to ask that we go on mute. And if someone does have a question, just please unmute, state your name and then ask the question for staff or the applicant.
I have a question. My name's Pauline Howard. I own the house at 102 Spring Park Road. This developer has asked twice now for variances. The first one was for a triplex. The second one was for a rooming house. The concern in the neighborhood is that this variance represents a scheme to protect, in the future, potentially change the single-family dwelling to a duplex or multi-purpose building. The application actually says a single unit building, I believe, as opposed to a single-family home. The neighborhood doesn't seem to be opposed to a single-family home on that R3 zoned lot. But because of the nature and experience, we would ask that that there be a contract signed with the developer to ensure that this is never turned into a multi-unit building.
Okay, thank you, Robert. Are you
Yeah.
are you there? So I guess my question to you is that if planning board and council recommend for this upon a signed development agreement, that would offer the safety of the residents. It would be limited to that of just a single dwelling, correct?
It would, but alternatively, I would state that that's not standard practice that the department usually bases the recommendation on. If we want to ensure that the unit is and will remain a single detached dwelling, is that we clearly state that in the resolution, so that and when City Council, if they do decide to grant the flankage yard variance, they base it on the condition of the front yard setback being maintained at 6 meters, as well as that it's approved for a single detached dwelling only. That council resolution would be referenced on the building permit application, and would then be would be enough at least for staff to ensure that a single dwelling unit is in fact constructed on site. And if that were to be altered or changed in the future, then it would go beyond the scope or parameters of what the original permit was approved for, which would be a single detached dwelling.
Mr. Chair?
Okay, Robert. Yes, just 1 second. If you're not talking, folks, whoever's online, please put it on mute, because it's really difficult to make out whoever's speaking, and there's a lot of background music or background noise here. Your Worship.
That's Mr. Chair. That's what I was going to say. I'm going to be deaf by the end of this meeting because there's so much backfeed there. I don't know what it is, but it's very difficult. Robert, I didn't hear all what you had to say. Could you just repeat the last part, because there's a lot of, as the chair said, there's a lot of audio interference. Could you just repeat what you said there, please?
Sure, absolutely.
Thank you.
So what staff would recommend is that if in the resolution that would go before council, the resolution would clearly state, one, the condition that the proposed single detached dwelling maintains a 6 meter setback from the front property line, and that it is approved as a single detached dwelling only. If that resolution was adopted and passed by council, that would be sufficient enough for staff. If in the future there was ever issue with compliance where an additional unit was added, staff would clearly have the resolution in hand, and that resolution would also be listed as a condition on the building permit when the permit's issued, and that would be sufficient enough to ensure that that property remains a single detached dwelling.
Okay. And Mr. Chair, I just want to ask one question. Robert, it's a 2-story single detached dwelling. I couldn't see the numbers clearly. So the square footage, what's the square footage of the proposed development? Is it 1,000 square feet, 1,200 square feet?
Yes. So according to the applicant's drawing, it would be the total living area would be 1,714 square feet. So the main floor area would be 880 square feet. The second floor area would be 834 square feet. And the basement, I believe through conversations with the applicant, the basement's being removed, so they're going to be building it on a slab on grade.
On slab. So about 1,700 square feet.
Correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. All right, if anyone else have any questions? If so, just unmute, state your name, and go ahead and ask a question.
So my name is Pauline Howard, and my question is, how do the postal boxes get moved? For example, presumably Canada Post would have done some detailed analysis on how far people had to walk to get their mail. So if those post boxes are moved further away from the residents that they surveyed at the time that they put the post box there, whose responsibility does it become then to ensure that the guidelines of Canada Post are followed?
It's Alex here.
Yeah, go ahead.
The placement of the postal boxes is 100% the federal government's jurisdiction. We have no sort of ability to, other than if we complained about a location, but it's really their domain in regard to where they place those boxes. So we would defer to them in regard to the placement. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you, Alex. All right, is there any other questions or comments? Please just unmute, state your name, and then go ahead and ask or just make a comment.
My name is Pauline Howard. There's a beautiful tree on that lot, and I was wondering if the city might look into whether or not that tree is on city property and whether or not that tree might remain unmolested.
Robert, do you...
Yeah, through the chair, I can answer that question. I've already looked into this. So I can confirm that on the northwest corner, right adjacent to the stop sign, that is a city-owned tree. So the applicant would not be able to remove that tree. He would have to adhere to the tree protection bylaw that is administered by our sustainability division.
Robert, could that be put as the resolutions? Because that's a new bylaw and lots of people don't know about it.
Again, through the chair, on any building permit that we issue, we do have a clause as a condition of construction that they have to adhere to the accordance with the tree protection bylaw. We also notify our city arborists of any construction that could impact city trees. So the developer would be required to get in contact with city arborists to work on providing fencing around the tree, as well as ensuring that construction activities do not negatively affect or impact the tree.
Thank you very much. One more question. On that property, there's a fair bit of Japanese knotweed. I'm wondering if the developer has any plan to deal with that before it starts to march down the backyards of the neighbors on that block.
Well, yeah, I would defer that to the applicant, I guess. The applicant, if you can answer that question.
I think that's where the driveway is going to be.
Okay.
Okay, so that will all be removed and just paved over.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
Just one last comment, Mr. Chair. Bradley?
Yes, Your Worship.
Yes.
On the southeast corner, you have another tree. I believe that's also owned by the city. Do you plan to keep that one too?
Anything I ever do, I always try to keep as many trees, no matter where I'm at. So, I'd say that tree is not going to be moved at all.
Yeah, that tree, I can tell you, changes colors in the fall. Beautiful yellow color that Pauline knows about. So, yeah, those two trees would be a significant enhancement to your new home.
Yeah, I would definitely prefer to have those trees there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Your Worship. All right, is there any other comments or questions? Again, if you're not speaking, please put your audio on mute.
Sorry, one last question. If that lot is sold, do the conditions of it being sold for a single-family dwelling transfer with the sale of the property?
I believe they do, but I'll refer to Robert just for...
That's correct, Mr. Chair. Whenever a variance is approved, that variance runs, or the approval of that variance runs with the property. Now, action does have to be taken within a couple of years, or the variance does expire and the applicant would have to reapply through the same process. But if the property were to change hands, before the construction was completed. The conditions, if it was approved by City Council and it was approved to conditions, those conditions and approval stands and goes with the property.
All right, thank you, Robert. All right, any other questions or comments for staff or for the applicant? All right, if there's no other comments or questions, does someone want to put a motion forward?
Move to accept staff's recommendation.
Okay, so we have a motion to accept staff's recommendation. Thank you. Anyone second that?
I'll second it.
Okay, so moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Any more questions? All right, hearing none. So
some clarification, Mr. Chair. Just just for us for the resolution. The resolution is to ensure the condition that the front yard setback to be maintained at 6 meters.
Correct?
Yep.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And that, Mr. Chair, and I think, Robert, you also stated that it would remain as a single attached dwelling, correct?
That's correct.
That would be in the resolution?
That could be, yes, that would be in the resolution, correct.
Yeah, and just to clarify, that variance that we're granting now, or recommending to council, if the property is sold, that variance goes with the property, but also in the resolution, it would remain as a single detached dwelling, single family dwelling, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thanks, Robert.
all right, so we have a motion on the floor to accept staff's recommendation. It was moved and seconded, and if there's no further questions, we'll put it to a vote. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Is there anyone opposed? Okay, hearing none, so motion is carried. All right, thank you. Moving into number 3, which is 14 Park Street. Robert?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is another variance, 2 variances. One is to reduce the required lot frontage from 22 meters, 72.2 feet, to approximately 12.1 meters, 40 feet, and to reduce the minimum lot size requirement from 650 square meters, which is 6,996 square feet, to 434.8 square feet, which is about 4,600 square feet. And that's in order to allow for to legalize the 2 units. So the subject property is zoned R2, which is low-density residential. There is a variety of duplexes or semis, or 2 units at least, along the street. The applicant is applying for to legalize the second unit. This is just a snapshot from one of the plans that shows that the applicant submitted, showing that they have enough room to accommodate 2 spaces on site. There would be no additions or anything in regards to increasing the size of the building or the units. It's from the understanding from the applicants, and they are online, if you had any questions, that they would just be legalizing the second unit. And one of the requirements of that would be that they go through the building permit process. That would ensure that when the inspector goes through, that the second unit is compliant with all applicable codes and regulations. We received 1 letter of objection when the application was circulated within 100 meters. The main priority or the main concerns was cited that there was a previous history of noncompliance with this additional undocumented dwelling unit in which the applicant is applying to legalize today. There was a lack of driveway space for off-street parking, and concern that the subject property was used for commercial storage. So adjacent to the subject site is Signcraft. And as you can see from the previous, and this is an older ortho photo, you can see that the back portion of the property was used for commercial signage storage, which is not permitted. I can state that upon site inspection, that signage, as you can see in this photo here, that signage has been removed and moved to the Signcraft property. So we do have some compliance from that point. And the applicant, again, we would recommend that the variances be approved, subject, again, they would go through the building permit process to ensure that that additional unit is compliant with life safety codes. And I can answer any questions, and the applicant is online to answer any questions as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Robert. All right, folks, again, please stay on mute if you're not speaking, and if you do have a question, unmute, state your name, and ask for either Robert or the applicant. Any questions, comments?
Looks great.
All right. Okay, hearing none, so if someone wants to put a motion on the floor.
Moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, moved and seconded. All right, is there any further discussion? Any questions?
Question.
Okay. Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Okay, is there anyone opposed? Okay, motion is carried. All right, that is it. That is it. Ellen, I think 3 applications.
Yes.
So we just need a motion to adjourn, please.
Motion to adjourn.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.